This is the second meditation for coming into being, silent meditation for global balance. And so first let's just all get centered. Taking a deep breath in, and then on your exhale, dropping all the way down to the core of the earth. Letting yourself be there for a moment before inhaling, excuse me, inhaling up through from the earth, from the core, all the way through into your body, centering yourself. And then expanding to arm's length out with your awareness. Being nice and anchored into the earth, present in your being. And let's just anchor into pure source as well. And because this is also bonus for this month's January participants for the Pure Life Infusion series, I'm going to take a moment to bring them in. Okay, very nice. Yeah, there they are. Here again, showing up. And let's take just another deep breath in, and then settle into our breathing. As I open up the space even more. So we're actually expanding out. So see how that feels for you? Expanding out to the collective. And a lot of people are showing up at the spirit level. There's actually, what's showing up today is there's actually two layers, two very distinct layers. There's one, like in a sphere, and there's outside the sphere, a very distinct separation there. Outside is the unconscious, and within is the conscious level of the collective. And you can also call that those who are in the new consciousness. If you want to call it that, you can also call it a higher level consciousness, basically, that humanity is in the process of moving into, or those who choose to move into. Again, I'm again seeing deceased people showing up, so that's those. So it's not limited to the living, but also those who have transitioned already and wish to partake of this at spirit level. And so again, here I'm seeing two levels. There's one level of the deceased level that is really people who are deceased and are still having distortions that they're hanging on to. And then those who have deceased and passed on properly and have released their baggage, so to speak, and they're actually kind of kind of having a party, pretty positive and very light, and really enjoying that from that level. So let's take another deep breath in, holding it at the top for, let's 3-4 count, and then slowly releasing, coming into that place of centering within ourselves. Now that balance comes from centering ourselves on ourselves. So centering on the self, but on not the distorted parts of ourselves, but that deep, balanced place, that pure essence, that pure spirit, pure awakened spirit. And just remaining on the breath as we go into deeper state of the pure balance. So we'll start at the individual level. We'll see where we go this time, where we are needed to go. So we're just starting at this first level and just bringing in those the frequencies and that environment of pure balance for everybody to just kind of steep in. Staying focused, bringing your mind, if it wanders, back to just noticing your breath and your chest, movement of your chest or your whole body with that. In and out breath. Okay, now we're starting to get into a deeper level of clearing. So everybody's just kind of been sitting there infusing themselves. And one thing that's starting to happen now is this release of the collective from individuals who are participating in this silent meditation. And whether it's when I'm actually doing this or whether you're listening to the recording, it's the same. It's the same because this is the work is being done at a non-linear, non-physical level, and on the physical level, it's linear, it's time, so it's you're not necessarily physically coming in at the time that I'm doing this. But it, again, it's happening at the quantum level, at the non-physical level. So your spirit is there, is here, is present, if you're listening to it later. So yeah, a lot, and a very dark layer. It's not really dense or necessarily thick, but it's like really heavy, very dark powder that's releasing from people. So keep focusing on your center and your breath. You know, with every in-breath, feeling yourself coming back to center if you're off center, or becoming even more centered than the last breath. As this pulls off a lot of embedded frequencies in your system that have created imbalance within you, or have pulled you off of your center, off balance, that have out of that equanimity in the mind, of being still and centered and balanced, and that equilibrium within yourself. It's sort of like getting hosed down and removing very dense, but it doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't have a heavy quality. Like sometimes this stuff is really heavy quality, but there's a lot of it there, nonetheless. So heavy. Likely, this is stuff that you have not noticed or been aware of because it's been playing in the background, and you have adapted to it and feeling like you are still making your own choices, even though you were making choices out of imbalance. Instead of being balanced and centered on yourself, the balance comes from being centered on yourself. And there's family lineage stuff is showing up also. And staying with your awareness centered on your breath. And so centered breath with that expanded awareness to arm's length out. And if it helps you to stay focused, you can just do a centering in breath. It pulls you to center, pull your awareness to center. And on the exhale, breathing out, so blowing out as you blow away the distortions. Or every once in a while, maybe not every breath, but every once in a while you can do that. And this is clearing out, so it's just going to stay in this space until it clears out. So there's we're almost clear done with this part, and it's like the clearing out a black ash that's clearing out. Really separating the whole group here out of these very heavy distortions that a lot of people are still enmeshed in globally. So it's nice to see this group rising up above And focus on expanding the space also, because it's easier to come into balance and maintain that balance for ourselves within, relative to the outside, when we have more space, kind of have more breathing room. So really, again, come into that center, doing a centering breath, and then allowing yourself to expand that awareness out, staying centered on the midline. And just keep going. Keep going as far as you can. Yeah, so I'm going to work on expanding everybody out, because some people stop. They get to a certain point, they stop, and they think that's the limit, and it's not. So expanding out the limit of what you think is possible for you. Yeah, there you go. You are limitless. So that's breaking down that barrier, that stereotype, if you will, for yourself. And what that's doing in terms of the whole global situation is it's pushing on those who think they have limits, and pushing in a good way, in a way that's needed. Let me put it that way. If somebody's facing the wall, and I mean, there's only one way to show them, is to really have them put their nose up against the wall, so that they see that and this is, in effect, is doing that. If they still don't want to think they're up against a wall, there's not much you can do about that. But yeah, very good. Everybody's expanding pretty nicely out here. So it's sort of like, when if you can imagine yourself on a balance beam, that balance beam happens to be, vertical in our context here, but imagine yourself standing on a balance beam, and what we're doing is widening that beam, giving you a wider beam to stand on. So it's easier to balance, it's easier to maintain that balance, that centering. And that's pushing away. So far we're still at the level, kind of more the personal, but that's fine. So that might be all we do today, is the personal level, but this is getting into a deeper level of conditioning that you have received at a personal level around what is possible for you. So that brings up the questions. How's that? What is the connection there between maintaining your balance, being able to maintain that equilibrium, that equanimity for yourself, and that whole concept of what is possible for you? It's because there's an incongruency between what the human self believes and what the spirit self knows to be true. And the spirit self knows that infinity is the level of possibilities. In other words, there is no limit. But the human self is thinking, well, no, I can only do this. I'm only good at this. Da 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 da. What I fill in the blank, whatever's come up for you. I'm not good enough. I'm too small. I'm too whatever. And that places you out of balance with your true nature. So balance is really about coming back into that alignment with who we really are and embracing that, and not just embracing that, but becoming one with that, merging with that. And that's where that balance, that's where we come into that balance for ourselves, is being in that place of balance with our, between the human self and the spirit self, those becoming one. And understanding that it's not about only certain possibilities, it's about the possibilities that are appropriate for you in this moment to keep moving you forward in your evolution, in your growth, in your expansion as spirit. Yeah, there, that kind of help click that in for people. That's good. Yeah, very nice. So that's removing a nice layer that needed to come out. So nice in the sense this was good, but a good layer is coming off of you. A lot of emotional baggage and mental emotional level distortions, and again, limitations. Yeah, nice. So having everybody's much cleaner space now, and very clean space, in fact. And a little wobbly because this is kind of a new orientation. So we're just going to hang here for a minute to get used to the new orientation. Well, very nice. Yeah, there we go. Everybody's holding pretty steady here. Very nicely done. And keep breathing into this space, into this place of neutrality and balance, of stillness within, emotional and mental stillness. And feeling the ease in that place. in that state of being. Feeling that strength also in this state of being. And I'm going to leave you in this space, and when you're ready to come out of it, just take a nice deep breath in, hold it, and on the exhale, opening your eyes and connecting to a physical object and coming back into this time and space.